Well, hello and welcome to Staying Global While Staying Home. Our look at on a monthly basis around the world at how leaders are managing the pandemic and how everybody is working hard to find new solutions, and hopefully we help to bridge some of that by sharing those in these webcasts. My name again is Lucy Newcomb, and I'm the CEO of Newcomb Global. We specialize in international business, and that means not only go to market, which of course is our core business, but also helping leaders move forward as well. So we do global business from the inside out. And today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Aileen Nandi, Minister Counselor of Commercial Affairs, U.S. Commercial Services in India. And Aileen has been a career diplomat working in this field for over 20 years in many different emerging markets, from Mexico City to Central Europe to El Salvador and now in India. So we're going to talk with Aileen in a little bit different way than we normally do with our guests. We're going to talk about how American companies are managing and, in some cases, I hope, thriving in the pandemic and what we might learn from them. Hi, Aileen.
Hi, Lucy. Thank you so much for having me.
So why don't we take a step back and talk a little bit about your role. You help American companies that are interested in doing business in India, setting up operations in India. How are you observing? I would imagine that involves a wide range of businesses. How are you observing, and however you'd like to characterize it, whatever size of business, how are American companies managing it, especially since India has been so very hard hit by the pandemic?
Right. So, so India has been hard hit. And I think the biggest challenge we are facing is that we don't have commercial flights right now. So India has what they call flight bubbles, meaning limited flights to certain countries through an agreement. So we do have some flights between the United States and India, but it's nowhere near the usual level of flights. And India is not granting visas for most categories. So U.S. business leaders, for all intents and purposes, can't visit India right now. So we are your eyes and ears on the ground. And so we're doing a lot of work right now virtually, setting up introductions, interactions. We're doing promotional events for companies. And so companies on all sides of the globe, all parts of the globe are adjusting to this. And we're seeing great success in terms of we have a lot of meetings happening, a lot of introductions happening. But India is really still a face-to-face economy where personal relationships are important. It can take longer to consummate a business deal. So I always encourage U.S. exporters and businesses to take a long-term approach with India. You can have a one-off success, but really you're looking at a long-term partnership. And so even though we're in the throes of the pandemic, the Indian economy has contracted quite significantly the past few months. I do encourage U.S. companies to set up relationships, do the introductions, continue the conversations you might already be having, because at some point this will let up, and you want to let your Indian counterpart, partner, or whoever you hope might be your partner, know that you are invested in the relationship and taking it forward.
That's great. Yes, I think it must be very hard right now. Do you anticipate any trade missions in the coming year, or is it even too soon to predict that from the U.S. outbound to India?
Right. I certainly hope so. Trade missions are fun, and I and my team, we enjoy doing them. We are actually working on possible virtual trade missions. Some being led by states, with senior state officials participating virtually. So we'll have to see how that takes off. But I'm hopeful that we'll do some of those. And yes, we are planning ahead for 2021, but of course it remains to be seen what the international travel patterns look like, and also whether people feel comfortable traveling. But I certainly remain optimistic that we can move forward with something.
Does this actually, I'm thinking of the travel lockdown or minimal travel. Does this actually open up some unexpected, more in-depth opportunities for American companies in India? instead of being more of a hub for the US, India out, maybe going to Sri Lanka or different parts of India, kind of going deeper in the region as a result of these constraints?
So I would say we're seeing opportunities in certain subsectors emerge. And so just to give some examples, aviation and defense is obviously a priority area for us. And so we certainly would love to help Boeing sell an airplane, and help the Boeing suppliers. However, with the drastic reduction in, airplane travel, that might not be, a likely possibility this year. But we are seeing opportunities in the MRO, the maintenance, repair, overhaul segment. Likewise, in the healthcare field, there's a lot of attention for that right now. And we're seeing a lot of opportunities for health IT and digital healthcare. Every crisis brings an opportunity. And so what we are trying to do is help identify these opportunities, work with the US companies, and make sure they're meeting the right partners or the end users or the buyers, whoever they need to meet.
Sounds great. And as I was saying, it also sounds like you might be providing additional opportunities overseas for American companies that we're not even there. Well, that is great. And for somebody that was considering going in, you talked earlier about how you're still nurturing relationships online. What kind of challenges for Indians? I mean, emerging markets are always a long-term play, right? Even without a pandemic. And then a pandemic certainly is adding another layer or 10 onto that. So patience tenacity seem to be kind of the watchwords. Mm-hmm. What might American exporters and international business professionals want to know that might not be obvious for how Indian business people are handling the pandemic in terms of maybe their family orientation, in terms of their hours of working now? With being so hard hit, how could we be better business partners and reachers out to our potential partners in India? What would you advise?
So that's a great question. I think, everybody was caught off guard, I think, around the globe, but certainly in India. We went into a very severe lockdown with no notice. So people didn't have their work computers at home. I think many Indians, even professional level Indians and their families, don't necessarily have a designated computer per person. So meaning two parents might be working and kids in school, they might be sharing one computer. Wow. So that is an issue. With my team, we made sure at the earliest opportunity to make sure that we could rent laptops for people. So I think companies are addressing it that way. Indians live oftentimes multi-generations in one house. So a lot of Indian professionals will have elder care responsibilities in their house, as well as taking care of children. And so the hours for everybody around the world, I think, have gotten longer, working virtually. So this does put a stress. I see it with my team, working longer hours. And so, but this is something I think most people are facing worldwide. So I think an extra dose of patience. I mentioned before that personal relationships are important. So it can be hard to develop that online, but to the extent possible, ask people how it's going. Right now our cases are on a downward trend, which is good. But I know there has been media coverage around the world. So I think people will, it will resonate well if they can tell that you have a genuine interest in that. And, keep the conversation going because, like I said, this pandemic will let up. People will be able to get back on the planes again, and your partners or your potential partners will remember who kept in touch and who made the effort.
I bet. Well, it's just been a terrific opportunity to speak with you today. Is there any final word you'd like to, we don't want to rose color the situation, but in terms of inspiration and encouragement, obviously people who are looking to do business in India, we're planning to go this year, have indeed been working on it a long time because, as we've discussed, this is a long-term play. So is there any word of encouragement other than, you've been wonderful about saying things will dissipate? They certainly will. And your team works very hard. I really can't thank the Department of Commerce enough, especially your team, for keeping that door open. Sometimes success isn't rushing through the door, but just knowing that it's open? And is there anything from our side that we can be doing to keep the bilateral piece going?
So I would just end with two things. One, our relationship with India is enduring, is one of the defining partnerships of the 21st century. So given the size of the market, given the increasing clout that India has, I do encourage U.S. companies to have some sort of an India strategy. So we're very much open and willing to help you with that. And second, I mentioned every crisis has an opportunity. We have worked with U.S. companies on various promotional events where we've gotten hundreds of people in the interaction at once. And normally when a company would come here and travel and they would do a separate event in each city, they would have to do 7 or 8 events in different cities to get that same number. So we have been very successful in that way. But on the other hand, by now people are kind of webinared out. And so we have to make sure that the quality of the content is there. So I would just end this by saying, don't forget India. I think it needs to be a key part of your international strategy, and we are here to help. So thank you so much for having me, Lucy.
Oh, Aileen, it's been really exciting and inspirational. It's so easy, since we've been at this for a while now, and India more than anyone in some respects. It's easy to have virus fatigue, and so it's quite wonderful to hear how many different ways. I mean, it would be really great if your team were just making headway in one channel, but obviously you're doing a multi-channel approach that's working well for different people. So that's really just terrific. Thanks so much for everything.
Great.
And we'll look forward to, I'm sorry, we should probably talk, since contacting you is a little bit different. Do you prefer American companies to go through our local office, or can we write to you directly? What's a good next step for people who are inspired by your remarks?
Sure. So certainly, yes, we do have we have several fantastic local offices in the Bay Area, and we have offices in almost all 50 states. So do contact your local Export Assistance Center. We do have companies who contact us directly, and that's fine. We will loop in our domestic colleagues because we find that working together, we are best able to provide you with assistance. So right now I'm in India, so I can help you with India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bangladesh. But if you work with the local Export Assistance Center, they can help you with countries around the world. So thank you for that suggestion, Lucy.
Oh, of course. I was very grateful and honored that we were chosen to work with U.S. Department of Commerce when we were in South Africa primarily. So, and ever since then, I've been so impressed between the distributor and agent opportunity. I think it's not called the Golden Key opportunity anymore. Do you want to talk a little bit? Do you have just a minute to talk about some of these programs that people can still tap into, even during the pandemic? Things like background checks, all of those, they're still pretty operational, aren't they? Can you just talk about 2 or 3 quickly?
Sure. So basically, we're here to help you succeed. Our goal is to help U.S. exporters sell overseas. So in this case, to India or South Asia. So basically, if you have a potential partner in mind, we can do a background check on the company. Normally, we actually go visit the company, look at their premises, do a visit. In certain cases, we can still do that, depending on where the company is, but we might not. That's situational based. We can do these interactions with potential partners or end users, where we set up a series of meetings for you. The benefit for you in this case is that we brief the Indian company on your company. So they have a chance to say they're interested or they're not. So by the time you have your first meeting with them, you can dive right into substance. You don't have to go into a basic introduction of your company. I mentioned that we've done very successful promotional events where we can get an online audience for you. So really, I think, in terms of helping you with your India strategy, please let us know what you're looking for, and then together we can determine how best we can help you.
Yeah, that's terrific. I mean, we have found your services in things like distribution and finding an agent and things like that. The background checks all around the world have been really tremendous and very cost effective, right? Because most of us are smaller businesses and we can either be doing our stuff or turning things over to the experts who know the market. So, and the new country guide, the most recently revised country guide just came out too. So for our viewers who aren't familiar, trade.gov has a series of excellent, sometimes a little bit older, but always insightful country guides, and the India country guide has recently been revised. So Aileen, I can't thank you enough for your time this evening. It's evening in India, and on another Friday night, I end up unfortunately lassoing a lot of our guests on a Friday evening. So thank you for joining that cadre and for your insightful remarks. I personally am very enthusiastic and inspired by your comments. I think it's an excellent time for companies to get in touch with you during this quieter personal period and pursuing some of these, what you might call back office opportunities of things like background checks, distributor possibilities, etc. And I'm really interested to learn more about the virtual events that you're doing. So I'll follow up about that.
Great. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everybody. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to thank you, and it's always great to work with you, and I look forward to our future partnership.
Thank you, Aileen. I can't wait for that. I had the honor of going very quickly to India in 2017 as part of the U.S. delegation for the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. And I'm so looking forward to the next opportunity and to working with your team.
Great. Wonderful.
Thank you again, Aileen. And please join us next month when we talk with Doug Brunke, the founder and CEO of the Global Chamber around the world, wrapping up our year with our final perspectives on the year that was most unexpected. Thanks again, Aileen. Have a wonderful evening. This recording, as you know, you'll see a trailer first, and then we will have a full episode shortly. Thank you, Aileen. Have a wonderful evening and weekend. We appreciate all that you're doing for us overseas and look forward to speaking with you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.